Hi, Eloïse. Thank you for letting me ask you a few questions. This is the third in the series of interviews that we are conducting with the board members. Let's dive right in. My first question for you is, as a director of volunteers, what has been the biggest challenge in this role and what has been the most satisfying part for you?
Well, first, hi everybody. It's really nice to be here, and it's very nice to see you, Maria. It's been a long time not seeing so many people. Director of volunteers is quite a tricky role in the chapter. I started several years ago because I joined the chapter in 2016. I was one of the first person allowed to rejoin the chapter when it was reopened. And my role is to ensure that we propose interesting role that inspires people to actually join and volunteer with us. Of course, there's a part where you have to propose roles that are beneficial for the chapter, so covering the board roles, make sure that marketing happens, events happens, learning activities happens, etc., etc. But it should be a path to grow for our members. So you have to connect with them. You have to understand what is the availability of the opportunities we might have, considering the chapter size, considering the marketing, and the market we are in, because Luxembourg is a very, very specific country in terms of languages, but also of skills that people tend to have in the landscape. It is mandatory to find a role that fulfill the needs of the chapter for sure, but moreover the needs of the volunteer. They really should find a place to grow in the chapter. So we propose activities that goes for their growth more than for our benefit. The satisfaction comes from the results I see. The challenges come from the environment we are. The results are, I would say, excellent. We have an average which is twice the size of other chapters, even though we are way smaller. Our volunteer rate is 20%, which the average in Europe is 10%. We constantly grow, and we do have a very positive community. Even in this period of challenges, we had many volunteers connecting with each other, just having a quick chat, just keeping the vibe alive. And this is something really, really valuable for our dimension. The personal dimension is the key for this kind of activities.
Okay. This year you are assuming additionally the role of director of membership. How do you feel about having two roles, and what are your expectations and plans in the new role?
It is not the first time, but the challenges are completely different. The first time I had volunteers and members was in 2016 when I joined. But the situation was really different because we were less than 100 people in the chapter. So it was more about, getting people in and getting connected. This year, the challenge is more about how do I grow as a manager, as a director in my role. I will have to delegate much more. I will have to find the key people for the roles. To be frank, some are already there, and just, we need to figure out the way to put them together in order to create this delegation system that works, to ensure that the programs are effectively driven. And I will have to look more at the strategic point of view rather than at the operational point of view. There are many activities in scope for this year. There's the mentoring program, which is growing more than it used to be. There are several surveys that we want to launch. There are we want to engage with other members in other way, because this pandemic is not going anywhere at the moment. So we really need to find another way. So delegation is going to be the key, because the difference is that now we don't have a chapter to be rebuilt. Now we have a big chapter up and running, and we want to intend to keep it that way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, moreover, I have to ensure that I create a consistency into the board meeting, into the board positions, because this is really the key. We do have plenty of people willing to participate, but not everybody is it's willing to participate to the election process, which is one of the key points of our chapter. So that is one of the challenges.
Mm-hmm. With you taking up 2 director positions and Margarita Sotiro assuming the role of vice president this year, and then Saskia as the president, it seems that the board will become quite gender balanced as opposed to the previous years. How do you feel about that?
Well, we drive on feminine leadership since quite some time, because the previous director was Liane, and she was a lady as well. I feel it as a huge success. It's been interesting, and it's also something that I discuss a lot with peers, friends, how we ensure feminine leadership, how we drive feminine leadership, what is the key to feminine leadership. One of the answers is that we have to keep the bar a tiny little bit lower than what we tend to be. When you discuss among women and women leadership, the bar is never good enough. You have to be more than this. You have to do this. You have to do more. And especially Saskia and I are a bit of overachievers. So, you know, it's fairly easy to get stuck in a position where you don't think you're doing enough. But the truth is you are good enough. And chapter activities are good enough. It is a very safe place where women can strive and can show what their leadership is about. And I'm very happy to see Margarita coming over, as well as I'm very happy to see many other women in supporting position, in key supporting position, because you see the benefit of having such a diversity. And I mean, PMI is about diversity, so we need to figure out a way to make this diversity work together. I know for a fact that it's quite complicated to manage a full professional life and a full family life within within life in general, and within board meeting and activities, etc. So if we are discussing about how to bring a toddler to a board meeting, I can spare a few tips. Everybody's well aware that my son usually votes at meeting and expresses his opinion very loudly. But the point is that finally, it's a project and we are project managers. So we need to find a way to make it happen with the condition we have. And families obligation, and in general activities that are coming from this kind of activity of obligation needs to be balanced, and that's it. There's no other way. From a more, how can I say, for a more specific point of view, I like a lot the fact that the women that are in the board are really hands-on. There's no overcomplication, there's no overwriting, there's no overthinking. It's just, okay, that looks fine. Okay, that looks fun to do. That looks interesting. Can we do it? Okay, let's do it. There's never like, yeah, but we should think, etc., etc. It's really like we enjoy ourselves in the process, and it's really nice. And I have to say, those are really, really nice people, and it's really nice to pass sometimes with them. So to my fellow members, participate to the board activities and to engage into the board. To my fellow members that are of male, don't be shy. It's absolutely a place for you, and you're gonna strive within. So please join us. That's the key message.
Thank you. What would you say to someone considering becoming a volunteer? What is the added value that volunteering for the chapter brings?
First suggestion, give me a call. I'm usually available. As I mentioned before, volunteering needs to find a way for you to grow. Some of us are not in the position in their professional life where they can, as an example, exercise some activities. You want to work in events, you never had an event management experience, you will probably not get immediately a job in events management, but we do have an event team, so you can get that experience in a very safe place. What is important to remember is that PMI is a place where people that are actively involved in project management usually belong fairly easily. We don't discriminate so much about who has a certification, who not, who's still a student, and who has a different certification from us, as I can say. The point is that if you are dealing with this kind of project, you're probably dealing with the same issues that we are all. So it's really a place where it's safe to try, safe to prove themselves. And what we offer to volunteers is something that it's tailored for them. To add lines in their CV where they can be proved. They don't have a team, they can coordinate a team of volunteers. They don't have a budget, they can manage a budget. It's really about learning something that you don't have. If you are really, really experienced, you can have mentoring for someone that is less experienced than you. And if you are not experienced, but you have a view that is different, well, maybe you can mentor someone else to have that view. It's really an exchange, and it's a positive exchange that works very well. For the rest, we have to adapt and to make the connection within the people and to put them in the position to be able to work. Some of them might be very junior and need more help, but this is where our job come to the fruition. We had mentoring call with more junior project managers that needed to understand, okay, I want to do a project plan. I've never done a project plan. How I do that? Okay, this presentation doesn't make any sense. We need to understand why, what's your message there, etc., etc. This is our role. So.
How has pandemic changed your life, your working life, personal life, volunteering life? You choose.
Well, my office is bigger and I have a full view on what's in the kitchen at the moment. I'm pretty sure, like everybody else, it's much more complicated to get in touch with people. We all have Zoom fatigue. We all have plenty of activities and too many calls and too limited exchange about something that is not the same. I see it especially in my position. I do have the information that comes in the meeting, but I never have the information that comes, while you are walking at the meeting, entering the meeting, someone that is saying something else and you catch the phrase that it's actually something useful, some input that you need. This is totally completely missing. For the chapter, we rely heavily on events, and the events part is not happening. Many projects were postponed because they didn't make any sense like this, or because I specifically have in mind a volunteer that has a lot of kids, all at school and all homeschooled. You imagine that she's not volunteering at all, and the only thing we want for her is just to be able to remember that we are here for her when she needs us, but we cannot ask people that are already busy enough to do more than that. On a positive note, the chapter is doing very well during the pandemic. The connection were strong, so our members have kept the connection going. And this is really, really positive things to see and to experience. That's something that I'm looking forward to work with this kind of network when we are able to do it again. Clearly, we will have to find a different way, which is not events with cremant and tartines and stuff like this, which we miss dearly, I have to say.
Yeah, unfortunately. What personal passion project are you working on, or have you been working on recently?
I have too many hobbies, really too many. I should probably edit a few, but I'm not able to. I'm a keen gardener, and it's not the season. I'm a lazy photographer. When I say a lazy photographer, you know the kind of picture where everybody wake up in the super early in the morning just to cut the light. Yeah, I'm the one like going for midday because ain't gonna happen. I wake up that late. My sorry, my latest project, I've made homemade panettone.
Oh, sounds
I
delicious.
cook a lot, which is not helping at all during the pandemic. Homemade panettone was a very long project, 3 days of cooking.
Wow.
Results were not as good looking as expected, but the taste was very nice. And we were able to share it with the number of friends allowed by the government, and they were like, well, they're ugly, but are you doing them next year as well, because we want another piece. So I consider them a success, even though they weren't taller as they should. But yeah, I have too many hobbies and too limited time. This is something I should probably consider editing a little bit more.
Okay. And do you have a role model?
Role models. I used to use my grandmothers, both of them, which were very tough women when I was growing up. They were very different people, really, really, really different ladies with totally different approach to life, totally different lessons, but with a vision of what's beauty in the world in general: music, environment, gardening, whatever. Look at the beauty in the world. I've grown up a little bit, so I know that they were wrong on a lot of things, which is good to know. It's good to know, and it's totally okay, because I mean, life isn't perfect, and we shouldn't try to go for perfection, because it's not gonna happen. So we better look for something which is good enough and make us feel, you know, good enough and whole, instead of looking for a perfection that is never going to happen. So that's the idea I have now, and I'm quite happy to live with this kind of idea.
That is a nice message. That was actually my last question for you today. Thank you very much for finding the time.
Thank
And
you.
I hope we will continue with our interviews with other board members, and then after that with other chapter members who are interested as well. So if somebody's listening,
I'm really looking forward to it.
me too. If somebody is listening who would like to be interviewed, please let us know. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.